Good morning, guys. I just want to give you a quick update on really on booking.com. On the video last night, I mentioned booking as a potential earnings play. My consensus on the stock was that it was going to go down through this gap here and potentially find support at the bottom of the gap or this longer term trend line. And I was looking to short the stock on any retracement, and break through the trend line for this longer term trend line, as well as a couple of pivots here. So booking was supposed to report last night. It did not report earnings last night and instead delayed until this morning. And you can see this morning it's had a huge spike, a huge bar down and all the way down to 1807. And has kind of bounced up a little bit and is now trading in this range, but still pierced into this gap here, but hasn't been able to get back into it in the overnight anyway. So what we'll be looking for, because it's made such a big move, and my theory on it was that it would be shortable as a post earnings play, because it's gone down so much through some pretty major support lines here, and is laying right here at the 1887 area, which is around this shorter term trend line right here, the second one on the right hand side. We're going to be looking to see if it gets back into this gap or comes back up to this trend line and gap and goes back down, fades to the downside. The trade I'll be looking for is a fade from the gap, the bottom of the gap, probably first target back here. So that's a good $33. So from this bar here down to this support line, trend line right here. And then you have a couple of pivots below at 1870 and at 1826.44. But really, it could get all the way back down to the 1800s, which is obviously a key psychological level. So my targets for this trade, if it acts the way I anticipate, is to fade it and have the first target be this trend line if it does go up in the morning. Second, the 1870, third, 1826, and then fourth will be 1800 psychological level, and then we'll see what it does at 1800 if it continues to go down. The next pivot's all the way down here at 1732. So you have some pretty big windows here. 1870, 1826 I put in there because it's the bottom of another gap, and then pretty big window down to 1732. And then this purple line here, if it decides to be really weak today and goes down quite hard, this purple line is actually a complex trend line from earlier in 2015, and it spans, this pivot here, somewhat this pivot here, and this red bar here as well. So it's a little bit of a complex trend line that we would be watching for a bounce on as well. So that's Priceline. I also want to give you an update on Roku. We talked about if Roku did show some strength right here at this trend line and got above the 5270 level, that we would be looking for a long up to this pivot here of 5744 and potentially even through the all-time high of 5880. So right now you can see it showing some strength in the morning. Overnight it was still kind of just hovering around the trend line. So my thought was that if it didn't go above this trend line and started fading back below, that would be a short down, could be a short down to fill the gap that it will make this morning. But Roku being kind of a volatile newer IPO stock, it could show some strength as well, because it has this cup and handle pattern or reverse head and shoulders forming I said that if it did go above these two pivots here, it could be strong to the upside. So right now, I just will be changing my position here in Roku to a long position if it maintains above this 52.70 level. So I'll be looking at the first 5-minute high, first 1 minute and 5-minute high to see if it can maintain this level of 52.70 or this range here. And if it can, I will be buying this stock above the first 5-minute high. And then, of course, again, perhaps above the overnight high, 53.50. So that's Roku and Booking. Yelp looks just about the same. We talked about Yelp as well. There hasn't been much change in it since the overnight session. Still hovering below this longer-term downtrend line, which I'll be looking to fade if it gets back to. If it doesn't and it goes straight down off the open, it's a potential fade into, down to this particular little short-term intraday support at 42, and then potentially back down to this trend line. So just to fade the opening gap, basically, depending on if Yelp trends upwards or down first. But overall, I think Yelp is going to be a short at whatever strength it shows. So that's just an update on the 3 stocks that I'm looking to trade this morning. Thanks again for listening, and feel free to subscribe or follow if you'd like to get updates on any new videos that come out that I will be posting usually post earning plays only. Thank you.